Hi everyone, I've got a fun video today because I finally get to play around with the Too Faced Life's a Festival collection. Now, I am super into this because I love rainbows, and the fact that they've taken this palette and made it a rainbow. It is beautiful. I'm so excited to play with the colors. And this collection doesn't just have that palette. We've got a rainbow highlighter, a Unicorn Tears bronzer, there's a Festival Refresh spray, as well as some highlighting sticks that I'm gonna be playing around with as well. While I haven't gotten a chance to play around with this collection yet, although I've been dying to, I have done swatches of this palette on my blog, so I will link to that down below in case you want to see the eyeshadows swatched up close. So let's dive right into playing with this palette. I'm going to zoom you in and we're going to get started on the eyes. I've already gone ahead and primed my eyes, and now I'm going to get started on basically doing a rainbow look. I want to do a rainbow that sort of wraps around my eye, and I think I can do it with this palette, so that's what I'm going to attempt. I'm going to first take Rainbow Life and I'm going to place that on the outer, I guess you could say third of my lid. Do a lot of patting, packing motions with colors just because I really like a lot of pigment. I definitely don't want a hint of color. I want as much impact as possible. And so far I'm quite pleased. I'm not having to really layer that many layers of color on, which is great. Next, I'm going into Sunset Dream and just layering that right beside Rainbow Life. Because it's a rainbow gradient, these should be incredibly easy to blend together. Of course, next is the yellow. I'm going in with Fun in the Sun and just putting that directly beside. I'm gonna wrap that around my inner corner. I like the yellow on the inner corner, but I want it to be a little bit brighter, so I'm going into Beeman on a very small brush and just placing that on the very inner tear duct. It's gonna just brighten it up a little bit. I don't know if you're gonna notice a huge difference, but it's a tiny bit brighter. Okay, now I'm going along the lower lash line, so I'm gonna switch to a pencil brush and I'm gonna dip into Fireflies and put that on the inner half of my lid. On the same pencil brush, dipping into Dusk Till Dawn and then just putting that on the outer half. Now at this point, I've got everything from the rainbow except for the purple. So I'm gonna dip into Fun to See and I'm gonna put that on the outer corner and then sort of drag it through my crease, but very lightly. I'm hoping this isn't going to screw up my look. Seems to be going okay. This is really pigmented. Okay, eyeshadow colors are done. For brow bone, I'm gonna mix together Beeman and the Unicorn Tears highlighter because I want a little bit more of a neutral tone, and Unicorn Tears is quite blue and Beeman is quite yellow, so I hope the combination of the two will be quite neutral enough. And yes, thankfully it is. To finish off the eyes, I'm going to add some winged liner, some mascara, and some falsies. Moving on to the rest of the face, I've already put foundation on. I use the Too Faced Peach Perfect foundation, and now I'm going to go in with bronzer. So this is the Unicorn Tears Iridescent Mystical Bronzer. It's a little bit different than what you may expect. It's got a bronze that appears quite shimmery, so I'm interested to see how this is going to go. And there's also a highlighter in the middle. Now, I've got other highlighters I'm going to use, so I'm not going to try to just stay to the bronzing parts. I'm going to just swirl my brush in the whole thing. And I believe I read that this one is supposed to be kind of like an ethereal iridescent bronzer that's kind of like sunlight and moonlight put together. So let's see. Okay, that's a bit darker than I was expecting. Let me just buff that out. There's definitely a lot of pigment in here, which is good because some of Too Faced bronzers are geared a little bit too much towards pale skin, which works for me, but obviously doesn't work for everybody. So I think that this would actually be decent on a medium skin tone. For a deep skin tone, you're probably looking at this as a highlighter. The effect is quite nice. I do think it's a little bit deep for me in the winter, but let me just blend that out with my sponge. Overall, the coloring's quite pretty though. This is probably something that would look much better on me in the summertime when I've got a little bit more color on my skin. That being said, I'm not mad at the color tone. It's just like a few shades too dark for me at the moment. But you can buff that out and that's just fine. Of course, it always depends on how much you like bronzer. Some people will probably look at this and go, that's way too much. For me, I quite like bronzer, so it doesn't intimidate me that much. For my cheeks, I'm gonna dig out my Too Faced Love Flush Blush Palette, and I think I'm just gonna reach for Justify My Love, which should be cool toned enough for the rest of the products that I'm gonna be putting on my face. I've got two highlighting sticks and I wasn't really sure which one I was going to be using on my cheeks. This one here is Unicorn Dreams and the other one is Unicorn Tears. But when I swatched them out on my hand, I actually really like the look of Unicorn Dreams, which is the warmer one. Unicorn Tears is up here. So I think I'm going to go ahead with the, it's kind of like a peach gold with some like deeper pink reflect to it. It's really interesting. So for this, I am literally just going to draw it on and tap it out. That's pretty. The reflect is there. I think it's a little bit more subtle than Unicorn Tears would be, but it matches really nicely with the blush, which is funny because I thought the blush was cool toned, but hey, that looks nice to me. So the last powder product I have is the Rainbow Highlighter, and I had originally thought that I was going to put it on my cheeks, but I wanted to use the sticks. So I have seen a few tutorials where people are putting the rainbow sort of on their temples, so I'm going to give that a shot. The instructions for this, interestingly enough, say to apply the Festival Refresh first, let it dry, and then put the highlighter on, so I'm going to give that a shot. I'm going to first shake this up, and then spray it right on. That smells amazing. That's like sweet tarts maybe? I know they said that the collection was unicorn scented and I was like, I have no idea what that means, but I guess unicorns smell like sweet tarts because that's like fruity, yeah, it's like sweet tarts. Okay, Festival Refresh has dried at this point. I'm gonna go in with this brush that I have. I didn't pick up the one from the collection, but this is big enough to sweep across, and I'm just gonna follow the rainbow back and forth a few times, and then, whoa, I don't know if my temple is big enough for this. Okay, let's see. It's a little bit. I'm not sure if I like all of that sheen though, but let me even it out on the other side. It's kind of interesting. It's a little bit pale, which is probably what you want if you're putting a rainbow on your face. But okay, it's growing on me actually. The red kind of like sinks into the yellow and then the blue and the purple's kind of down there. I'm hoping that shows up on camera. Problem is, you kind of really need to blend out that edge though. I just drag it a little bit. All right, another thing I want to try out with this is I've seen people putting it on their collarbone, so I want to give that a shot. Oh, kind of like stuck and dragged. You can definitely see the rainbow there, but I'm just having a little bit of issues trying to like blend it off to a smooth edge. Maybe if I take something, yeah, that's better. Just something to blend out the edges so you don't get like a harsh like line. Put some brows on so I wouldn't feel so bare. And the last part of this look is gonna be lips. Now, they've relaunched Unicorn Tears with this collection. This lipstick used to only be available at Ulta, but now it's at Sephora with this collection, so you can definitely pick it up if you're somewhere that doesn't have an Ulta. And this is just like one of those weird looking blue lipsticks that actually goes kind of purple. It's really, really neat. You can see it's blue when it goes on, but it just turns a bit of a lavender pink. And by the way, if you apply this and then take it off, it actually leaves this gorgeous berry stain on your lips. I don't know how it does that. Looking at this color, you would never guess that, but I assure you that it does. All right, so there's the finished look on my face. Let's go through the products one by one so I can give you my thoughts on them. Number one product from this collection probably won't come as a surprise because I love my eyeshadow palettes. The Life's a Festival eyeshadow palette is fantastic. I love that the colors that I used were able to create a beautiful rainbow without any problems. There was no issues with the color tones in here not working together, and that really, really makes me happy. Of the shades I used, I loved every single one of them. I felt like the pigmentation was excellent and I didn't feel like any of them were lacking. And I have to point out a few more shades in here that I didn't get to touch, even though I used like 8 or 9 shades on my lids. Desert Vibes, perfect crease color. I've seen other people using it and that is the perfect shade for warming up the crease and adding a little bit of definition. Mystic Rain, another color I didn't get to use today, but this shade is unreal. I swatched it for my blog post and I could not believe what this color is. I've never seen anything like it before in makeup. It's like a pale rose lavender with a teal reflect. Never seen a duochrome like that before. It is absolutely beautiful. I think if you're a color lover, you're going to absolutely love this palette. I know not everyone is taken in by the packaging. Some people have been calling it a little bit childish. Frankly, I don't really care. It is a little bit silly, I guess you could say, but I mean, I'm into it. It may not fit perfectly with all your other palettes, but the quality is there, so I would absolutely recommend picking this up if you're interested in the shadows. The next product that intrigued me the most were the highlighting sticks. Now I didn't use this one today, but I can only assume that the quality is the same as the Unicorn Dreams one that I used on my cheekbone. I have to say, at first impression on these, I was not impressed. I felt like the packaging felt a little bit cheap. However, I did like the product and I really liked how it went on my cheeks. I really like that glow. I'm not somebody who necessarily always goes for like a rose to gold kind of look, and that looks really, really pretty. So I am definitely into these sticks. I'll be interested to try out the Unicorn Tears one a little bit more because that is a little bit more of a unique color, I would say. I'm gonna assume it's not that dissimilar to what I'm wearing on my lips right now though. One thing that I can't wait to try in the summer is the Unicorn Tears bronzer. I did really like the color in here. I think it came off really nicely, but I had to use such a light hand and then blend it out with my foundation sponge that I feel like this is something that's gonna work a little bit more for me when I've got some more color on my skin. So this is gonna be like a July and August favorite product, I'm sure. And yeah, it does smell like chocolate. So I think it smells like the rest of their Chocolate Soleil range. If you're into setting sprays, I think you might like the Festival Refresh Spray. I have to say I'm not somebody who uses a face spray, so I couldn't really tell you if it feels like it's gonna make my makeup last a long time. But I have to say, in terms of like being refreshing, yes it is, especially because of that scent. That like fruity pebbles, sour tart scent is so, so nice. And people have mentioned, you know, getting a little bit of like droplets on their face that look like the blue product in here. I'm not seeing that personally, so I'm not experiencing that issue. So I thought this was nice, but I don't see a huge difference in what's on my face. And lastly, I have the Rainbow Strobe highlighter here. Now I have to say, I think this was the product I was perhaps most interested in outside of the eyeshadow palette. And I'm not sure if I'm like that into it now, which is a little bit of a shame. I don't think I would apply rainbow highlighter on my temple again. I don't think it really adds anything other than make me look a little bit shiny. As for on my collarbone, I actually quite like that, but I need to find a better way to apply it because I don't like that it's like 2 stripes there and then like a blank chunk in the middle. However, if I connected the lines, I think that would look a little bit sillier. So it may actually look really nice if you like put it on your shoulder. The effect is quite subtle, which I guess I kind of wanted something a little bit stronger. And I acknowledge the fact that most people are not looking for a strong rainbow highlighter, but I was. If I mix all of the shades together, you basically just get kind of like a pale, pale gold glow. So if you're not looking for the rainbow effect and you just want to know what it looks like all together, it is pretty much just like a pale gold. One thing to point out with this rainbow highlighter though is that it does actually work better with the Festival Refresh Spray. When I first got the product, I photographed it and swatched it and I was like, oh, I don't feel like it's coming off enough on the skin. With the spray, it does adhere to the skin a little bit better, actually quite a bit better. You will have to layer it a little bit back and forth just to get that much of a rainbow effect, but that's just something to be aware of, that it does actually work better with the spray. So those are my thoughts on the Too Faced Life's a Festival collection. Let me know if you're picking anything up from this range because I'm really into it. I really like the rainbow aesthetic. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll catch you next time. Bye!